Welcome to the Black Delegates podcast. This is episode 12. Today's date is April the 29th, 2018. I'm here with the fellas. The usuals. We got Phenom. What's good, man?
What's happening? Happy to be here another week.
G. What up, G?
Yo.
And Public Enemy Zone. Box Wine Poppy. What's good, man?
Assalamu alaikum, my brothers. I'm back. I'm re-energized. I've become more knowledged on the plight of the black man. I'm ready to fight for him this week. I'm sorry. I apologize for my previous statements. Unlike Kanye, I'm apologizing, and I'm ready to move forward. Let's do it, guys. Let's do it.
Okay. and I'm the Black Ryan. I can't even follow that up. All right, so let's get straight into this week at Blackness. Let's start with Phenom. How was your week in Blackness?
My week in Blackness was pretty cool, pretty uneventful, honestly. I don't have a particularly interesting story this week.
Okay, be like that sometimes. Paul, how was your week in Brownness?
My week in Brownness. So what I want to talk about is, we got all of us except for Ish, got the kids out there. So so we all kind of know how this goes. But my week in Brownness basically revolves around me doing a school project for my kid. So I got an email from the teacher. She sends around email blast all the parents a few weeks ago, saying, and in her little note, she kind of tells us what's going on in class, blah blah. She's like, oh, it'd be really nice if somebody could put together this water wall. And so a water wall is you got to put it together. I never heard it before too, but researching it. So me, because I was raised in a single parent household, which maybe some of the other fellows on the phone were. So I'm trying basically to overcompensate for, other brown people in my family that were not around to help me out. So I'm like, hey, for my kid, and it's good. G, you married. Ryan, you married. Ish, you're married with no kids, but everybody else married, got kids. So, I don't know about you guys, but for me personally, my relationship with my kid, I'm like, man, I didn't have a male figure in the house growing up. And so I'm like, man, I got to do everything I can. But so I decided to take it upon myself to build this stupid water wall, whatever it's called. Man, you know how many times I've gone to Lowe's in the last week and a half buying stuff I need more of this, I need more of this to put this all together. Anyway, it's all done. It's good. I finally had to drop it off at the school. But I made this damn thing so big that I could not. I mean, it's like 4 foot by 4 foot, but it won't fit in my car. I had to rent a U-Haul truck to bring it over to the school. So I'm basically, I've probably spent about a good $150-$160 on this project for my kid. And this is the point of my week in Brown. It's like there's a level hey, you want to do better than the people that didn't do anything for you, but you don't want to do this much where you're spending all week and $160 to build something stupid that's probably gonna get destroyed in 2-3 days by a bunch of preschoolers. So, moral story, kids, don't be like me. Be better than my dad, but don't be like me. Try to even it out. That's my week in Browns right there. Definitely take care of your kids, but don't try to be extra like I have been. That was a dumb move on my part, and I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I've been spray painting all weekend. I'm done. No more kid stuff ever.
We gonna need pictures of that, bro. I mean, if you
It
spend
does-
that much time
it does look
and money,
dope,
I want to
man.
see
It does look kind of dope. I didn't take any pictures of it though.
What?
No, we need pictures. Take pictures.
Well, it's out on the playground, so I can go out there and see it after school tomorrow if I want to. I put it out on the playground, so it's there.
Yeah, definitely. Do
Probably
that.
already destroyed.
Oh man, look. So that was the plan. So I got a U-Haul truck. I had to bring it over there, and while I'm taking over, there was other little families out there playing on the playground, and I could just I felt like they were eyeballing me, what's that guy doing carrying that big ass blue wooden thing over there. And then the teacher also asked for a bag of play sand for a little sand pit. So I brought $3 thing of sand. I set it all over there, but I was kind of eyeballing the families that are out there don't y'all take none of this mess when I'm gone.
Remind the people, how old is your son?
He'd be 4 in July.
He's 3 years old. Okay. All right. That's all I wanted to add. Because, you're doing too much.
I'm doing too much. But you know the reasons why, Ryan. You know the reasons why. I'm overcompensating. I recognize that, but I know I'm overcompensating. Anyway,
And your
I've
kid
done
will
it too.
enjoy that thing, and he'll always remember that time. So it ain't wasted time, man.
hopefully.
All right. So G, how was your week in blackness?
Oh man, my week in blackness. Well, what I'm going to talk about happened today. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh no, I started hearing some static. My bad, fellas. But so my daughter plays basketball. She's 13 years old and she plays AAU basketball. So she's pretty good. So when her AAU team doesn't play, there's about 2 or 3 teams that, ask for her services or whatnot. And so today, the team she played with, the team she played with today, one of the girls on her AAU team, it's her dad's team. So we get to the game. Oh, well, she played with them all weekend, and I tripped off yesterday, which was Saturday. I tripped off how this team that she was playing on this weekend there was maybe about 3 or 4 dads, and you're talking like 10 moms or women. So it's pretty much woman dominated. So Saturday I kind of sat near them, and I'm just hearing the conversation. They're crying about every foul, and they're taking exception to anything that's said. And I'm just tripping off how mothers are, about their kids. They're just like bulldogs about them. You can't say anything. So we play this one team, and the game's pretty close, and it gets kind of nasty with the parents. So we end up having to play that team again today in the championship game. And so I get to the game, and I'm going down to sit, and something told me, you know what, you might want to sit somewhere else, because I noticed you have all the moms down here, and the gym was so packed that both teams' parents were sitting together. So I knew before the game that's going to be an issue. So I moved over, and the game got chippy, and I looked down, and before I know it, it's fist flying. I mean, it's like I heard 3 words shouted, and it's like 5-on-5, just women going. And
What?
yes, and I'm just sitting there like, really? I'm looking around the gym, and like all the white teams are just looking like, what the heck is going on down there? I mean, it's just a Royal Rumble. So they put like half of these women out, and then it's like 10 minutes left in the second half of the game. So I'm like, oh my God. So this stuff trickled down to the kids. So the game's getting chippy. I mean, it was like 3 texts, in the second half, and I'm just sitting there like, man, this game can't get over with fast enough. But it was pretty embarrassing, and I just was like, really?
So was it security there where security could get stopped a fight, or did it just stop on its own?
Well, at those AAU games, there's no real security there.
Nothing.
I mean, you just had referees running down there, and then you talking about black women. So ain't nobody trying to touch nobody's wife or or get in nothing. So this stuff like went on for a minute, before I wasn't going over there to touch nobody.
Crazy.
I was like, I'm not touching them women.
So who won? Or what was the most significant blow of the fight?
The fight or the game?
Right. I was going to ask the
fight.
game.
Oh, we don't care about the game. We talking about the fight.
You think I know who won? I just saw fist flying.
Is that the worst you've ever seen from? Is that the worst you've ever seen from parents out there at various events? Gee. Have you seen worse? You don't have to get super detailed, but just is that not the worst thing you've seen, or is that the worst?
Most of the time, it makes it to the parking lot, or it's 2 parents going back and forth, so the other parents kind of brush it off. But yeah, this is up there. This is probably top 3.
Top 3.
Number 1 was watching a woman sucker punch a woman in a parking lot.
What?
I'm talking about, yeah. I mean, Cole Cocker knocked that.
Serious. He's serious about these sports.
Knocked her out and stood over and was talking to her like, yeah, you ain't talking so much now, huh?
That's crazy.
So at the game, did any weave get snatched out? That's what I really want to know.
That's how you rate the fight, based on whether or not weave is strong about.
Right.
Like I said, man, it was just a melee, and I was just so shocked. So I'm just seeing punches. So the first thing I'm looking is to see what my kid is doing. So I'm looking on the court like, okay, yeah, she's going towards the bench. I saw some shirts get pulled. I saw some bra action.
See, we should have kept the boob story in here, man. It'd been a perfect segue.
And so you did all this, and yet you did not go and post it on Instagram, on Facebook.
Right,
on
we didn't
Twitter.
get that in the group me.
Where's the World Star social media footage, man? I should have seen this on the internet before you told me about it.
See, that's why y'all should have been there, because y'all know I don't mess with social media.
You probably on social media. Somebody else posted it for sure, so I'm going to just search the internet. We'll talk offline. You can tell me where it's at, and I'm going to go find the video.
Hey, but yeah, it got pretty ugly in there. And like you said, it wasn't no security, so this stuff went on for like a while. Like the
and
game,
it was all women. Like no husbands got into her, boyfriends or other.
As far as the punches, that was all women. But then some guys almost, started getting into it. One of the coaches got into it because, I heard him screaming, don't put your hands on my wife, don't touch my wife. And dude was I was just trying to break it up. He like, well, you grab your wife. You break up your wife, don't grab mine. But the guys were pretty cool. It was it was just the women.
Yeah, women, once they just out to kill as soon as they get seen red. That's it.
Hey, 3 words were said. I saw one mom jump up, start pointing her finger, and somebody came down out the bleachers right in her face, and then wop 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 wop, and then just punches start flying.
Crazy. What about you, Ryan?
I'm looking at my wife like, see, that's why I wanted to sit over here.
What about you, Ryan? How was your week in blackness?
My week in blackness, it ended well yesterday. Me and the fam, I was determined that one way or another, I was going to get to go see Avengers Infinity War. The Facebook threads was hot. The memes was starting to show up, and I was like, man, I can't wait another 2-3 weeks to see this movie because it's going to be spoiled. A lot of stuff I normally watch in my feeds, in my news feeds, and everywhere else was starting to get filled up with Avengers stuff, and people talking about spoiler-free reviews, but it's never really spoiler-free. They be like, oh, I'm not going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. And you be like, dude, that's not spoiler-free. But I got a chance. We drove all the way out to Belleville, Illinois to the drive-in because I figured that's the only way I could do it. I had a whole fam there and tell them that they went to a drive-in movie and then we could watch Avengers. They were showing Avengers first and then Black Panther. Well, it said Black Panther Avengers. I thought Black Panther would be first, but that ain't how they did it. They did Avengers first, which is crazy.
That wasn't crazy. They did that because they knew if they did Black Panther second, everybody would stay.
No, because Avengers is the new movie. It's opening weekend.
But still, Black Panther.
Nah. Come on, man. Infinity War, way, way bigger of a film than Black Panther. We'll see how the numbers shape out. But there was a almost fight, so I can't follow up G's story. There was an almost fight. A black lady pulled up in a big, giant Infinity truck. It was huge, like a mini school bus, and she could not drive. And she pulled, 6 inches from this lady's car. And I heard the white lady say, "What are you doing?" And then she's like, "I'm not moving." And then the lady was like, "Oh, you go move." And she started getting loud and pointing. I saw her finger sticking out the window pointing. And, she kept going back and forth. She went back and forth about 20 times. Man, she had about 10 feet on the right side of her. Why was she so close on the left? I don't know. But, man, it was a terrible, terrible parking. The white lady got up and she's just like, "Oh, I want to go to customer service. I'm going to tell." And she got up and marched off mad. And the other lady was like, "Oh, you going to go tell? You going to go tell?" She was like, "You don't want them kind of problems. Best believe me." And I was just like, okay, you know, and you know,
Did you record any of this, Ron?
I
Did
looked
you
at my
record any of
wife
this?
and I said, this is about to be my weekend blackness. Depending on how this goes.
That was good.
But yeah, it was cool though, man. It died down, but the lady didn't move. I was like, man, it's gonna be an awkward spot to sit, you know, next to the person, and y'all just got into it like that. But everybody was cool. Nobody said a word after that. Got to watch the movie. Movie was the culmination of every Marvel film to date. It was beautiful.
Hey, that woman didn't move because customer service walked halfway down there and saw it was a black woman. Was like, I don't want them problems.
Man, customer service did not show up. What you gonna tell
Exactly.
him? I thought about it. Like, what
Hey,
you gonna tell him?
he looked
This lady came up and she was too close to my car. Like, you sound like a baby.
Hey,
But let's be real.
Hey,
People that can't park deserve a place in hell.
customer service had binoculars. She like, you got 6 inches, you good. I ain't saying nothing to that lady.
Yeah, it was silly though, but it was over quick. Good movie. We'll talk about the movie more once somebody see it. Did you see it, Paul? Because you called me out. Like, am I gonna see it this weekend?
No, I wanted to hear you. You know, I haven't seen it yet. I need it. My wife's been talking about it a lot more. She actually been talking about it more than Black Panther. She's been hearing about it, so she just kind of wants, because it's all, you know, everything mixed into one, and she liked the last Avengers movie, so she's been kind of talking about it. So we might have to sneak away in a week or two to go see it.
If you've been committed all this time watching these movies, man, it was a perfect kind of, I guess, part one of an ending to the whole saga. And I'm gonna go out on a limb right now and say Thanos is black. Thanos is black, man. Did you see that one hit quitter that he put on Iron Man in the trailer? Knocked him out. So yeah, that dude is black.
Hey, so what the white lady do? Just go back to her car and concede?
White lady went back to her lawn chair and she sat there.
Oh, okay.
That was
Her
it.
lawn chair.
Yeah, she had lawn chairs out there, man. It was freezing, man. And white people was out there with Dukes on and everything. They serious, man. If the sun come out, they shorts come out.
Oh wait, what was that, a concert? Or what, they were waiting for tickets. What were they doing?
It's a drive-in theater, so you
drive
sitting
through.
there,
Just
you
sit
put
out
they
your
pull
car.
the lawn chairs
know.
out.
How is it? I didn't know drive-through theaters existed anymore.
Drive-ins? Yeah. Well, it's only one, I guess. I don't know about no other one. I think it's
That
the
might be the
only one
only
in the
one in
region.
the whole United States, man.
I don't know about
Nah,
that.
they
But-
got him.
I've legit not seen a drive-in movie theater.
I bet they're still.
Ever.
I bet they're still popular in those rural areas.
I bet they are. I'm no joke. I never knew they actually existed in this day and age. And it's cool to go. It's fun to go and stuff like that.
I haven't gone because I really don't like to go, but I ain't had no choice. It's like if I'm gonna have the kids, they're gonna be talking, so at least I could be inside my vehicle yelling at them to be quiet.
I don't go no more because I have a house now and a bed.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, G. I'm with you on that, G.
But that was my wicked blackness. That's about it.
And
So,
Ryan, it took you a minute to see Black Panther, right? Like, you didn't see that on opening weekend.
no, I saw it the second week.
The second week, but Infinity Wars, you seen it on like the second day. Like, what's up with that? Let's talk about that.
I see where you're going. Yeah, I think you know, this is grounds for at least a
White
a
people
write-up on.
white people on my news feed are not going out to see Black Panther, so I had time.
What you
I was
say,
just
Paul?
like, I just
he
need
get
to
a
watch
warning.
it.
He getting a look. Hey man, this is a flagrant one right here. This is a flagrant one. Right
Look,
here
man,
for sure.
getting out to see a movie the second week that it's open is a miracle. I only went to go see this because it was at the drive-in. If it wasn't at the drive-in, I wouldn't have saw it. Period.
I bet Black Panther was at the drive-in too. You just didn't check because it wasn't that important to you.
I forgot that the
As
drive-in
Infinity
existed.
Wars. That's a shame.
I forgot the drive-in existed.
That's a shame.
But yeah, to be honest, I'm gonna be honest. Yep, Infinity War is more important than Black Panther because that Black Panther trailer didn't look that great.
We
Kick
just
him off
lost
the
like,
podcast.
whatever.
We just lost
Kick
all
him off the
Whatever.
spot.
We need a
Alt
new
Mike
host.
Ryan has showed up.
We need a new host.
Get him out of here.
And now the
Accepting
introduction of alt-right
applications.
Ryan. Right
Accepting
here.
applications for a new host.
Thank you for tuning in to the Suburban Delegates.
Ugh.
That's
Man.
a shame.
Hey, say what you want. It was better. Period.
Accepting applications.
I'm still shocked there's drive-in movie theaters. I did not know that existed, but okay. And especially in big cities, I did not know that existed. I figured that'd be like,
It's not in a big city. I got to go to Belleville. That's like 45 minutes away from me.
okay, I have no clue where this is at, but
Yeah,
okay.
it's far. I mean, it's far in regards to driving. Like, we didn't even stay and watch Black Panther again, and I wanted to, but it was too late. Like, it's 10:45 before they get ready to show Black Panther. My wife is like, I think you forgot who you are. Like, you don't be up this late. And I was like, yeah, I think you're right. So, yeah. And, I was like, yeah, but Trenton needs to see Black Panther. And she was like, Trenton going to be sleeping in like 2 minutes. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So, let's go. And they were sleeping 2 minutes. So, but yeah, let's move on. I don't want to spend too long on this. All right. Paul, you up. Your story.
All right.
The Audacity of Caucasity.
The Audacity of Caucasity. Ryan does not like the title. I like the title. I came up with it, so it's good.
It's fine.
So first story we're going to talk about. Older lady from New Jersey, Karen Turner, a lobbyist with the agency's Government and Ethics Committee. She had a little run-in with the police, and it went a little differently than some of our other run-ins we have police with other minority people. So let's just kind of break down what happened with her. So this happened on Easter. There was a car that got pulled over. It had a bunch of young people in the car. The car was driven by a friend of this woman, Karen Turner's daughter. The daughter was just a passenger, like in the back seat. But I guess the car didn't have proper. The driver didn't have proper registration for the car. And so the cops that pulled them over, and it was kind of like a little BS reason they pulled them over. I guess it was like the tint, and I've been pulled over for a tint, and I hate that before, and got a huge ticket. But anyway, so they pulled over tint, ran the plates, didn't have any registration, blah blah. So they had to impound the car. So while all this is going on, they're getting the tow truck out there. I guess the daughter, who again is sitting in the back seat, she's not the driver. Decides to call her mom because they're in the same town where I guess this girl's from. So these girls are the kids are pretty rich. I guess one of them is going to MIT. The other ones are going to like Yale, something like that. They obviously very educated. Anyway, about 10 minutes into this whole thing, the mom shows up. She gets out of the car and she saunters over to the police, and she did saunter. And man, she just let them have it. And so she's talking to them with no care about what these cops are going to do to her. She knows these cops will not touch her in any way, shape, or form. So she's talking to them, and she's like, man, did y'all see the video yet? Have y'all seen it?
She's sassy. She pointing. She
got
both hands going. She's slapping in her hands.
Man,
yeah.
She told that.
Her neck rolling.
Yeah, he said, Miss, I don't like the way you're talking. He said, I'm not Miss, you call me Commissioner. So she told me, like, and the little cop was just like, okay, Commissioner so-and-so, like that. But she's going off on these dudes, just giving them the business about, like, why, basically, stop doing this, tell me what you're doing. And so the cops, they're actually, I can't front, they're playing pretty cool, man. They're taking a lot of abuse. And legit, straight up, I work with some women that are just like this lady. I will not lie to you. I don't know if they're that powerful as this lady thinks she is, but they will definitely talk to them like that. So I kind of get the vibe that she's giving off here, just kind of really pushy and confrontational. But yeah, man, it was crazy. She was kind of going off on them, and I guess the kicker part was like there was a part where the cop was telling her like you don't have the right to this or that, and she turns around, she says, you have the right to shut the F up. She points just points at the dude like you ain't gonna do nothing to me, and yeah, so the cops play it pretty cool. They just kind of let it go, but it goes on. I'm sure the article, the video will be in the show links. It's really long, but just look for the newspaper story about it, and it's just crazy. But the way she's just talking to the cops just had me going crazy, and I'm like, can you imagine like if that happened to any of us, like just going off on the cops like that? What do you guys think about that?
I'm pretty sure I would have got shot.
Happen.
I would have got shot.
That when I watched that video, I'm watching it and like Ryan said, I'm watching all that body language, both hands moving, finger pointing, personal space invasion, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, can anyone show me a video of a black person able to do all of that? Cause
right.
For like 12 minutes. For like 12 minutes.
Hey, the first time both hands started moving and finger pointing in faces, I'm picturing you face down on the concrete with a knee in your neck.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the.
But she let it off. The reason I think maybe she got out of this because she leads off basically like, I know the mayor, I know the. She basically, as soon as she rolls up on him, she basically
And that's another key thing. Rolled up on them. We don't get to roll up on police.
Right.
Exactly. She rolled up. Did you see how she rolled up on there with the handshake? First she was like, "Hi, my name is so and so. I'm Commissioner so and so. I'm friends with." I mean, she basically just led off with, "I'm friends with the police commissioner, blah blah, and I know the mayor, blah blah." She was dropping all these little hints like, I know people.
If she was black, she could talk like that. But the only way she could talk like that is she already got the cuffs on with her hands behind her back.
Right. Yeah, that lead off that had nothing to do with the reason why they let her, pop off and do all that. There's nothing but that goes skin deep. It's a white woman, and the police were never going to put hands on her unless she attacked them. So the thing is, whatever she wanted.
Well, the thing is, I mean, these dudes, the two cops handled it perfectly. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, one of them was like kind of like leaning up against the car and kind of like chuckling at the lady. So you could tell they never felt threatened. But if she was of color, they wouldn't have been that relaxed.
Oh yeah, and another way how they were relaxed, and again, this kind of goes to just the skin component. If this was a black family, let's say, so the cops are talking to the lady or whatever, there are two cops, she's going off on them, they're just sitting taking it like you said. But the kids, there's 3 kids over at the car, and I mean, they just over there chilling, talking. There's no cop with a trained weapon on them. There's no cop patting them down in the back, in the background.
They just all huddled up in a circle.
If that was of color, one cop would have been dealing with her, and the other cop would have had his pistol drawn like, hey, I need to keep this under control.
Right, until backup gets here. But those kids are just sitting there. One of the kids got her hand on her head. She's just looking embarrassed like, oh, here goes mom again. And then the other kids are just, sitting there, just chilling. They probably searching on their phones for, some clothes from Old Navy or H&M.
H&M.
Right.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's no way a black woman would make it out of this situation doing that. The lady, at one point, she's got a wallet in her hand. If we reach for anything, guns would be drawn. We probably would get shot. Tasered at least. Nowadays we hope we can get a knee in the back of the neck. I wish that all colors, creeds could get the same treatment in a situation like this where you should be angry, for whatever reason. Or, even if you shouldn't be angry, handle it like a professional, and they did. The cops were just like, yes, my badge number is this, and this is my name. I've seen black people ask, what's your badge number and what's your name? Meanwhile, they are being shot. So,
right.
If we could even get those kind of courtesies, I would appreciate it.
But real talk, didn't you kind of wish because once I started hearing this lady talk and the way she was talking, and like G was saying, just the aggressive, way she's, she's dropping all the hints, like she's connected, she knows this and that, she can have their job, blah blah. She's dropping all those kind of hints to start off with, but then she's necks rolling, this and that. She's pointing at part of me was like, man, I would, if they took the billy club to her knee, I wouldn't mind right now. If they're just 12 minutes in, I would be like, okay, that's
go back to your car.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, back up, woman. But they didn't put the color. She didn't get no colors put on her, man. So
because she said, "Do you know who I am?"
Exactly.
I'd have told her, "Hey, look, I don't know who called you, but you need to go talk to them. But I'm dealing with these kids. That's why I pulled over."
But look, and so follow up on that. So the lady, she's high up. She's on this the Port Authority. She's some kind of commissioner for ethics, which is the funny part. She's like the ethics officer, but she's a political appointee. I guess she's a Democrat, but I guess she was appointed by Chris Christie to this thing. And so she, once this video came out, I guess this incident occurred on Easter, but the video didn't come out till this week, and then she had to promptly resign because they basically opened up an investigation. So she lost her, I'm sure, high-paying job. For that, and I don't know if you saw this, but she also put out basically an apology. But in her apology, it was like the most non-apology apology ever, because basically the whole thing was like, I look forward to working with the local police department to make sure incidents like this no longer happen again by executing more officer training and all this other BS.
Why do they need training?
Exactly.
I thought they did well.
They handled it great.
Exactly, but basically, And what's crazy is I guess so she's a political appointee, but I guess like her background is like she's PR. She's like a PR person, a public relations person, expert, blah blah. She's had like a consulting firm for public relations, and it seems like she just handled all this terribly because the apology was definitely not an apology that I read. It seemed really horrible, but
all that side stuff just took a hit.
Yeah, for sure, I'm sure. But anyway, so crazy story. Yeah, definitely. If I got pulled over to cops by anything when I was a kid, my mom would have come out there and done all that neck roll and pointing fingers at me. My mom would have beat my
right.
The cops. Like, don't you be out here wasting my time with my car? Get your ass. She would have beat my ass.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, officer. I'm gonna take care of this.
No, yeah. You don't put him in jail, officer. I'm gonna beat him for you. Don't worry. That's how that would have gone down.
All right. So this lady, she did a great job of playing the villain here. I'm surprised that she resigned, but that's just how things go. So speaking of villains, we're gonna move on to G's story here. Let's talk about who's the real villain with the San Antonio Spurs NBA basketball team.
Yeah.
What's going on with Kawhi, man?
Man,
I'm telling you some sports on here.
When this story first broke out, I kind of was just, following through the media, and pretty much, the Spurs were having these team meetings trying to get Kawhi out there, and the question was, he had the same injury as Tony Parker's, and Tony Parker's was more extreme, and he's back out there playing, and at first, it goes back to how the media can guide you, so I kind of listened to that and was kind of like, what's the deal with Kawhi? Everybody's in his ear, why is he not playing? He wants to, he's forcing a trade, all these type of things. And I was pretty upset because, I'm a big time Spurs fan and I'm a fan of Kawhi. So then I read an article in called
Undefeated.
Undefeated.
Undefeated, my bad.
Yeah, the publication is called The Undefeated. And I read the article and it basically... And you kind of left to follow the media because, if anybody knows Kawhi, he doesn't talk. He doesn't say much. So I ended up reading this article in The Undefeated, and basically, it kind of was Kawhi's story. And I'm pretty sure they talked to somebody close to him, if not him. But basically, he's only played 9 games this year, and basically he said, he just didn't feel right in those 9 games. So I feel like, if he would have just came out and said that, hey, look, I played those 9 games, I don't feel right, so, I'm going to stay off of it till I feel 100%. True fans like me would have understood and, totally left them alone. But, reading the article kind of pretty much, changed my perspective on it. And, for a while I was sitting there like, what can we get for him? What can we get for him? So now I'm kind of sitting back like, I hope they can, buff this out or whatnot. And then I've also heard, an article came out where, apparently, he wants Pop to lighten up or whatnot, which, I don't have a problem with that, soothe his ego or whatever, get him to sign that contract and, let's get back to business. But
what you think about that, Ishmael?
I think it's an interesting story. It's almost like when we look at basketball players or when we look at just people, famous people in general, we kind of make not a stereotype, but we just get this idea of them from what we see in the media, or we get this narrative that is, whether it's due to a TV show, an article, or whatever. So it's like with Kawhi, they had that article a year or two ago about him still driving, whatever, his 1990 SUV that he had. And, we've always been told that he's quiet and he's humble and all of this. And so we have this picture painted of him. So when this situation comes up where Spurs are like, yo, you should be healthy, you should be good, why aren't you playing? It kind of went against that narrative. And people are like, what's wrong with Kawhi? Like, Kawhi isn't a diva like this or whatever, like what's happening? But, the thing is, man, in that Undefeated article that you talked about, G, they talked about Isaiah Thomas, who is with the Lakers now, who was with the Celtics and then went to Cleveland. You know, Isaiah Thomas had an injury, hip injury. He tried to come back and play through it, you know, because he was the man in Boston at the time. And, you know, he ended up hurting himself even more to where he had to sit out half a year or sit out, you know, a year basically. And now he's lost so much money over that because he's supposed to be a free agent this year.
And you left out a key part. As soon as they, you know, once he got hurt, they shipped him right on out of there. You know, the business side of it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, once he got hurt and he declined to have the surgery because hip surgery, you know, can end your career. But yeah, they traded him away to Cleveland. But the fact of the matter is that he was supposed to be a free agent. I think this year he'll be a free agent, but he was potentially looking at a max contract. And now because he tried to play through that because he wanted to be loyal to the team and help the team, like now he's lost millions, tens of millions of dollars. So I got no beef with Kawhi, especially if he feels like it's something with his health and he tried to come back already and it still wasn't right. Like him saying, yo, I need this to be 100%. So the Spurs doctors would say you ready, but of course they got loyalty to the Spurs. You know, they might try to say, hey, we're not taking sides, but you know, they're loyal to the Spurs first. So he's saying, look.
And also with the Tony Parker angle, you know, Tony Parker ain't, you know, pulling the minutes and not pulling down the workload that Kawhi's pulling. So
But Tony Parker is pulling down all his teammates' girls. Let's talk about that for once. Which
got swept under the rug.
Kawhi better not leave his mama, his girlfriend, nobody around Tony Parker.
What you say? Don't leave your girl around me.
Right.
Hey, that could be the real reason Kawhi stayed in New York. He like, I'm not traveling with the team because my girl gonna be there, and you know, Tony might be up to his old tricks.
Right. Tony get to talk. Tony get to talking that French. You know.
Man, we.
Man, I'm going to say this because I'm not sure how I feel about this Kawhi situation. First of all, I would like to state that I traded Andre Drummond for Kawhi Leonard in fantasy. Kawhi played 1-2 games and was out for the season. So I'm very upset with Kawhi not coming back. But hey, who traded
you?
Paul.
He was hurt all year, so I thought I could sneak in and get him right before he come back. You know, it was one of the type of deals.
Man.
Yeah. So I traded Andre Drummond, because I didn't think I could win.
You traded me Sabonis too.
Hey, your season went downhill after that.
He was a throw-in. You can have Sabonis. I just picked him up. It wasn't no big deal.
Sabonis is pretty dope, though.
Yeah, he ended up hooping. But I really wanted Kawhi to have a spat with the Spurs for real. I don't like how they kind of threw him under the bus. Tony Parker talking about his injury was 100 times worse. Ginobili was like, you know, let's just get it in our heads. Kawhi ain't coming back kind of a thing, which is fine. But everybody kind of threw him under the bus, man. They should
them two might not
just
be
say
back.
he hurt. Yeah, they won't be because I think they're going to retire.
Man, they're like 1,000 years old.
Pop might not come back, man, after his wife dying. I don't know.
Yeah. But
he might switch his priorities up.
But at the same time, I hope Kawhi's smart enough not to really trip off Parker and Ginobili because I think they both knew it was their last year. So, of course, they want Kawhi. So, you know, they could care less because they're out of there.
I don't know how him and LaMarcus Aldridge's situation is because L.A. seemed like he a bit jealous of whoever the top dog is because, dude, you can't really hoop, man. Like, let's just get that through your head. Like, you got a J and you can't do nothing else.
You can't really create your own shot, really.
You can't do nothing else, and yet that dude keeps trying to say he's the man.
He needs to play with a lead guard.
Right. And so, I don't know how that's going to go, but the Lakers will welcome you with open arms. All you have to do is go to the media and say the word, trade me to the Lakers.
No.
And we'll make it happen.
Just know what we want.
You can have whoever you want.
Hey, give us Ingram and Kuzma.
You can have it, sir.
Done deal, he says.
Right. Done deal. Thank you.
My question is this. So this happened when Isaiah Thomas was in Cleveland. It also happened with Kawhi here in San Antonio. So, like, the players called a players-only meeting and basically accosted him about whether he was really injured. You know, when I talk
That's
about
crazy.
Cleveland, that was Isaiah Thomas was kind of leading that type of meeting against Kevin Love too. Like, what's up with these players? Like, yo, we got to call a meeting. Like, yo, are you really hurt? Like, we don't believe you hurt. Like, who does that?
Right. That's
Right.
a bull. I would for real want to be traded if my teammates did that to me. I'm just saying. Like, we're not cool if you questioning me, dog. I'm out here competing every day, man.
Hey,
so how you gonna question me?
Hey,
whether I'm hurt?
but it's a part we're leaving out. Deontay Murray, which is one of the younger guys that's going to be in San Antonio, also came out and was like, "Hey, I'm behind Kawhi. You know, whenever he's ready to come back, you know, hey, we're ready. You know, so
Dude.
you gotta look at it, you know, where it came from, and it came from two vets that's probably not going to be on the team after this year. You know, so they're pushing because it's their last year, so they know without Kawhi, it wasn't even a point in us coming back this year.
Oh, but don't forget though, G, Pop also threw him under the bus. That's the most important storyline here. Pop went out and said, "Yeah, well, Kawhi and his team has to make this decision."
Well, that's the
His
truth.
team. Yeah, but that's implying that he's not really hurt. Our medical people have cleared him, but him and his team need to figure out if they want to play.
Well, yeah,
That's not cool.
Them two probably gonna have a sit down.
I think that's how Pop is. Pop is like gruff and
No, not with the star players that's hurt.
I think that Pop is tough on all these dudes. I think he knows what buttons to push. to
Military-
make them better players. Yeah,
Military
He
man. Military man.
I mean, before the season, he he admitted himself like he pushed the wrong buttons with LA last year.
Right.
And so he said him and I, he had Aldridge come in and they sat down, they aired it out, you know, and they said, "Hey man, I gotta, you know, how I was approaching you last year, I thought it was gonna work, but it didn't." And
He even threw another jab. He even threw another jab saying that LaMarcus Aldridge is there every time, whether he's hurt or not. He's out there playing hard, no matter what it is. He's never down on himself. Come on, man.
He's making.
They need a sit down.
He needs, but Pop is making the Pop. Pop knows what he's doing. He's making jabs publicly or whatever like that. But he's making little jabs because he thinks he knows what makes people tick, and it usually works. So he knows Kawhi's a competitor, and maybe he's making this like, hey, Kawhi's gonna hear this, and it's gonna get him upset and get him, you know, get us talking or whatever like that. But I think he's got a goal in mind at the end. I mean, I gotta put faith in Pop. Pop's
Right.
the best out there. So I mean, he's
Right.
gotta, and everybody seems to love him. Everybody says great things about him. So I
Preach,
think
brother.
he just knows, but he ain't gonna sit there and just, you know, roll over for these dudes. He's gonna be gruff. He's gonna speak his mind. He's gonna push buttons, and that's what he needs to do. Be a good coach.
At the same time, I mean, even if he does want to run, I mean, what organization would handle that much differently?
Yeah.
You know, you talking about you've played in a class organization, you know, since you've been in the league. You know, you want to leave that?
Yep. Get him out of there.
No.
I'm team Kawhi. He got cornrows. Anybody that got cornrows, I support him
Still.
wholeheartedly.
I support him too, but him and Pop need to sit down.
Look, I haven't really jumped on this topic too much, so let me jump here. It's like, man, all my thing with NBA is like I grew up in the big cities and stuff like that, but like, you know, living in small town where we finally got an NBA team, the Grizzlies in Memphis. Like I've got an appreciation for the small town teams, and so the way I don't like San Antonio because they're in the same conference and they always kicking around. In fact, they kicked last year in the first round. But you know, I got an affinity for the small market teams because I see how hard it is to keep talent.
That's so funny. That's so funny that you said that because I hate playing you guys in the playoffs because I'm like, man, they grind you down, man.
Yeah. But I enjoy, you know, the small teams, and man, when you got star players like that, and Ryan, you know, me and you talk about this all the time. I hate when, you know, I know the dudes, they want to go, you know, make the big contract money in the big cities, but you know, I don't think the NBA needs that. I think they need to keep some of these stars in these small market teams, and I hope they can work it out where Kawhi stays, because even though I don't like seeing him play against my team, and I wish he had more of a personality, you know, that he would let show.
He's good for San Antonio.
But he's good for San Antonio, man. He's good. He's good. He's good for San Antonio, and I ride for all the small market teams, because man, just when they get something good going, it usually doesn't last. San Antonio's like just that one outlier where they've just had to go on for years and years and years. But all those small market teams, you know, they'll have their little 4 or 5 year stretch, and they, you know, like Milwaukee, they've got the stretch right now. They're gonna be really good, but you know, a few years, who knows what's gonna happen with the Greek Freak.
Right.
Then they go back to irrelevance for the next 30 years. So, man, you know, just got to enjoy these little minutes while you can. And man, they got to do more to make these teams, these small market teams, be able to hold on to these big time guys.
Right.
Hey, if you don't want your coach all up in the media telling them that you ain't playing well and that you're not really hurt and that you need to come on back to the team and have your teammates throwing you under the bus, come out to L.A. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. Moving on.
Come to death row, baby.
Because there is no bus to throw you under.
Yeah. So let's move on to Kanye. This is my story. Ye versus the people. Y'all know we talked about Kanye last week. So, yeah, I thought the story was over with. But then as I'm on my way to the drive-in, I'm listening to the radio, and there's a Kanye and T.I. song that pops on the radio. I'm saying, what is this on the radio? I turn it up. Kanye and T.I. basically are talking about this exact same situation with him over the weekend or Friday, signing a Make America Great Again hat. He got it from somebody. He was taking selfies with people supporting Trump, and he had a signed one, and so he's doing all this. And I am personally very upset because Kanye has he's bamboozled all of us. This whole 2 weeks was a publicity stunt. You out here publicity stunting on us, and it was just so you could release this single on Saturday. It's ridiculous. I don't know. Did y'all get a chance to actually hear that song?
No, I didn't. What
and
are
I'm
you
not
talking
going
about
to.
in the song?
Man, so let me read just a couple of the lyrics, because he specifically talks about this hat situation. It says,
if T.I. has the Trump hat but tilted to the side like he always used to wear, like, I'm gonna lose my mind. That's all I know.
So it's a back and forth between him and T.I. So T.I. is telling him, like, yeah, from this vantage point, you know, you got to see the vantage point of the people, and what you feel what makes you feel equal makes them feel evil. And then Kanye says, see, that's the problem with this nation. All blacks got to be Democrats, man. We ain't made it off the plantation. And he said, F who you choose as your political party. And this is T.I. responded. And he says, you representing dudes just seem cruel and cold-hearted. With blatant disrespect for the people who put you in the position. Do you feel an obligation to them? And Kanye responds, I feel an obligation to show people new ideas. And if you want to hear them, there go two right here. Make America Great Again had a negative perception. I took it, wore it, rocked it, gave it a new direction. Added empathy, care, and love and affection. And y'all simply questioning my methods.
Man, can I start off with this one?
Yes, man, please.
Hey, first of all,
you gotta listen to the song.
Kanye, get all the way the hell out of here, man. First of all, we said this last week. I said it was a publicity stunt, but just listen to what I haven't listened to the song. I'm not going to listen to the song. I don't want to hear it because it was all just PR mess. But you know, Kanye is a dumb dude who wants people to think he's a smart dude, but also in his mind he thinks he's a smart dude. See, like, that's the opposite of me. I'm a dumb dude. I talk about things. I can be smart on certain things, but in the back of my mind, I know I'm dumb. He thinks he's smart. He's conflating two issues. Like, nobody's saying, I definitely agree that, like, black people, brown people, we don't have to be Democrats. You don't have to be a Democrat or anything like that. You should be independent on your thing, but on your politics or like that, and you should, you know, definitely have your own issues, how you want to approach things, and you don't have to agree on every single thing. But it seems like now in this country we're just all being pushed into, you know, basically where it's it seems like the Republican Party, before they had ideas I used to agree with, and now it's just like the Republican Party it's just so crazy what the stuff they stand for or really don't stand for. Like, you've done nothing but just push people further away. So this whole, like, oh, you don't have to be part of this party. No, I don't think you need to be a Democrat, but I just can't. I'm not rocking with the Trump stuff ever. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. What he's saying about, like, all black people have to be Democrats, that has nothing to do with supporting Trump. You don't have to be a Democrat to be anti-Trump. You can just be like, hey, I'm an independent, which I feel like I'm an independent. But I'm not rocking with Trump. I'm sorry, and I think there's plenty of any color people that have the same opinion. So that's all I got to say about Kanye. I still want to hear the Nas album. I might have to check that out, but this I knew this was all publicity stunt. Forget this. This is crap. I'm not listening to it.
What you think? What you think, Phenom?
I agree by and large. Last week I agreed that it was a publicity stunt. There is 180 that I will do from last week, and Paul was definitely very adamant that Kanye was trolling. And I said, I don't think it's trolling. I said, I think it's a publicity stunt, but I don't think he's really trolling. But clearly he was trolling, and I don't know if you guys saw.
He orchestrated it all.
He released, a quote-unquote song before he released that single, and all I was talking about was some poopity-poop, scoopity-scoop or something like that. And so
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he said he released this single on his website, and when people went to the website to play the song, that's all he was saying, poopity-poop, scoopity-scoop. So I'm like, clearly this is just a big troll job and, like we said, a publicity stunt. So, as Kanye, it doesn't surprise me, but at the same time, I'm just kind of with Paul where I'm just not really feeling it.
Yo,
G, what
y'all
about
taking
you?
it too lightly.
Oh, go
y'all
ahead.
taking it too lightly. I'm angry. Are you angry, G?
No. Hey man, I said what I had to say about Kanye, last episode, and I agree with Paul about the, this all a publicity stunt. But as far as the Republican and Democrat stuff, I've always felt like that was the haves and have-nots, and I feel like the Republicans are the haves, and if I was a have, I would have Republican views, and if I'm a have-not, which I am, you'd have Democratic views. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on that, man. I said what I had to say on Kanye last week, When I pretty much, when I see something on TV with him on there, I flip the channel. So I'm gonna flip the channel right now.
Yeah, why are you mad, Ryan?
Right.
Man, because he literally orchestrated everything that we talked about last week. He orchestrated this whole taking the selfie, putting that picture up. He orchestrated the signature on it, because everything he did, he talked about in the song that he released on Saturday, which means that had been done. He already knew he was going to do all of that. That's ridiculous, man. That's not the same as you did it and then you did a song about it. Nah, man, you orchestrated all of that to put it out there. That's not cool at all.
Didn't Drake do that a couple years ago with one of his diss songs or something, where he sent somebody flowers or something like that and had that in the song? Like, that's just this new generation. Like, that's what people do, is everything is orchestrated for publicity, for social media activity. So that doesn't surprise me at all. I'm not mad because I don't expect anything more.
So related to this, what did you guys see the part about John Legend texting Kanye personally, directly, and basically had this? It was a long text, but basically hey man, you should, I love you, but you should really reconsider, your stance on this, because some of the things he says are very offensive and it's hurtful to some of your fans. It was really nice and well thought out text that John Legend wrote to Kanye. And basically, Kanye replied back that's what's wrong with people, or that's that mentality where you gotta. I forgot the phrase he used in the text. It's out there on the internet, but he basically said, I'm gonna think the way I want to think, and you can't tell me anything, blah blah. I still love you, blah blah. But then he decided to not only to clap back at him in the text, but then to put the text out there. In real time, I guess he was tweeting out screenshots of the conversation, with this private conversation. And so I guess as the back and forth was going on, John Legend, I guess his phone must have been blowing up, so he must have realized hey, he figured out hey, he's put me out there like this. And so said, hey, by the way, I got a new single dropping here pretty soon. So they had a good words, but it might not just be a total
I'm all the way out. I'm all the way out on Kanye right now. I don't even want to hear the next album. I'm done. Last week I was telling y'all I don't care, just make some music. But dude, that's soft.
Say it, Ryan. Say it slowly. Shut up and make beats. Just say it. Go ahead. Go ahead. Say shut up and make beats. Just say it, Ryan. I know you want to.
But I've been at that point with him, man. Hey man, if you dropping something, I'll check it out on the radio. But all that other stuff you talking, I ain't trying to hear.
Exactly. Hey, if you just weird, fine. If you just got a different point of view, fine. But now you orchestrating your weird views, now you being a sucker out here putting up somebody's private text messages. Man, that's weak.
Personally, I would respect him more if he really truly believed like Trump is, hey, this guy's on some different stuff that we never seen before. If that's really his point of view, and keep that same energy and stick to that. But this whole like, oh man, this is just for PR and this really ain't nothing. I'm just here to make this song and then move on and go on to something else. I ain't for all that, man. If you're gonna go put yourself out there on all this political stuff, then stick to it and have a well thought out point of view and stick to that. But this whole hopping back and forth crap just to sell albums, that's whack. Get out of here.
Man, y'all don't understand this. This is just the era that we live in, and that's how the most successful people get successful. When you look at boxing, you see Floyd Mayweather, like a lot of that stuff was just for the publicity. All that money Mayweather, that was so he could sell fights, and it worked. And then you say Conor McGregor came over and he started doing crazy stuff because it worked. And so all these people come out, even with Trump, which people detest him or whatever, but Trump is always in the media. Every time he says something crazy, it gets him on the news, breaking news. Donald Trump said blah, blah, blah. So that's the environment that we live in. And the fact that we sitting here talking about Kanye for a second week in a row, it worked.
Oh, yeah, it works. Yeah, you're right. I just wish it would stay more like all the money, like all the flossy jewelry and all this. Like, okay, and all the, I wish it wouldn't beat on the women so much. No, none of us all agree on that. But, but then when you talk about the politics stuff, like it affects people's real lives, it can. And, weighing in on these particular issues, like immigration or whatever, it's just like, why do that? Why, I don't know. Stick to all the other dumb stuff. If you think the world's flat, like B.O.B., believe the world's flat. I don't care. Do what you want.
In closing, I mean, all I got to say is I just pray that Beyonce has mercy on us. So leads into Ishmael's story. What's up with our Lord and Savior, Beyonce knows.
Ryan said that.
Ryan come with the segue. All right, so this story is about the Beyonce Mass. That's the hashtag that took over the internet. And what the Beyonce Mass was, it actually was a real life mass that was held. It was Grace Cathedral Church, which I believe is in San Francisco, and I believe it was Wednesday. They had a Beyonce Mass where they played Beyonce songs, they performed Beyonce songs, and it was a situation to where this is on a Wednesday night service. So basically this church on Wednesdays, they have a more contemporary type of service, and they do more out of the box type things. So they held this Beyonce Mass. They said usually their Wednesday night services pull 50 or so people. On this night, they had over 900 people. So the people came out for Beyonce. Of course, the internet was divided because some people are saying that this is blasphemy, that they are praising and worshiping Beyonce, kind of like Ryan alluded to. And other people are saying, no, they're using Beyonce to bring people into the church. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I want to, before I really go into my thoughts on it, I want to know what you guys thought about the Beyonce Mass.
G, that's on you, man.
Great marketing. Great marketing. Anything to get the people in.
Yeah, I'm Ryan, you know this. I'm not a big church person myself. I've got mixed views on organized religion, not necessarily religion, but organized religion. But anything to get more people in there, if that works. This is in San Francisco. Let's also got to keep that in mind. That's a very, very liberal place. Liberal. That let things go. And also, just on my personal side, anything that gets more booty meat showing in church, I'm for. Anything that gets booty meat showing in church, I'm for. I'm down with that. So yeah, if there's booty meat showing, I might even show it myself. And I don't go to church, so I'm down with it. Ryan, what do you now? You as the more spiritual person of the Black Delegates, what do you think about this subject?
First of all, Paul, I have your name on the prayer list at my church. Just so you know. It's been on there for a while, brother, but I'm gonna put it on there twice. I'm gonna put ×2 after your name.
You might,
This
need
time,
to,
but
you
seriously.
might need to take it off of there because when the God strike him
It's not
down, even his name might get struck too, so the church might burn up. Just
Hey.
for having it on
He
there.
like,
am
how
I
can
wrong?
I get some? How can I get some holy water through this snowball?
Hey, am I
Right.
wrong? The Lord said, "Come as you are." So if you wearing hooker clothes, you just come to church as you are. What am I wrong? Saying wrong? I don't know.
Yeah, but we not there waiting on them to come in so we can look at them. All right. So anyway, so realistically, man, let's be serious. I'm gonna put on my Minister Ryan hat and we're gonna talk about this. This is all kind of blasphemy. I mean, it's blatantly obvious. They could try to say that yeah, we're trying to be more contemporary, or we're trying to be more, to try to get the new kids in. We're trying to get black women empowered to come in. Church is for worship of God. That's it. It's not for the worship of Beyonce. It's not for the worship of anybody else that you want to bring in to play their music. Play their music at home. If you want to have a concert, even in a church, maybe. But I would say that's probably shaky too. But you never know. If y'all want to use the auditorium or something to have a Beyonce listening party, cool. But we are not playing Beyonce songs during worship. It's a worship service. You're not worshiping Beyonce. You're supposed to be worshiping God. It's just blasphemous, man. I can't believe that they allowed that to happen. Any blowback that they should be getting, and that's no slap or slight at Beyonce. I like her too. I like her music. She's a great performer, great entertainer, a lovely, beautiful woman. But let's separate the two.
What's crazy?
Separation of church and Beyonce.
I like that. That. That's the title of the show.
What's crazy is in about 10 years, this mess around and be the norm. Stuff like this. Yeah. Religion changes with the times. I can remember as a kid hearing about, no women preachers. Now you have women preachers. So you even have gay preachers now. So, religion changes with the times. So if that in 10 years, I wouldn't be shocked if this is a norm. A church is doing this kind of thing as a marketing tool.
Yeah, I don't go to church, but there's a big church right near where I live at. It's actually on it's right up the street.
I don't go to church, but there's a big one by me.
There's a big one really close to me, but you see all the stickers on people's cars. It's called Elevation Church. It's all over Charlotte, and so this dude the dude that leads it is a white guy. But this dude, legit, if you thought this guy, if you thought he was a boy band singer, this guy he looks like it. So he's like maybe a 32-year-old boy. He's got but he's up there because they show it on TV. So I've seen it, kind of flip by there on TV. I mean, this dude is icy. I mean, this dude's wearing, the designer gear up there. It's just a different world, man. How they're trying to reach out to different people. And maybe this is a little too far. But I get where they're trying to go. I'm sure they're trying to keep it somewhat respectful with the clothes and stuff like that. All jokes aside, but man, it's just how it is nowadays. The music and all the stuff like that. That's what gets people into these churches nowadays. So, I mean, it's not going to get me to go more likely, but I see what people are trying to do, and people are just trying to one up each other. So I think this is just a one-upsmanship. Like, hey, we're going to have this, we have good music, blah blah, and hey, well, everybody likes Beyonce. Let's put a little Beyonce in here, and that's just how we get to this point.
After the 10 o'clock service, we will have some Beyonce.
People gonna stay for that. People gonna come for that, right?
Hey, in 10 years, they'll be throwing concerts at the church.
Hey, if you coming for that, then you wasn't coming for church anyway. But go ahead, Ishmael.
Well,
you ain't gonna say that till after that. You ain't gonna say that till after that plate goes around.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
I hope
clearly, if it was a publicity stunt, it worked because, like I said, normally they got 50 people, they got over 900. Me personally, I don't feel like it's blasphemy. I don't have a problem with it at all. I think it is fine. I think that people are overreacting, and part of it is because of how it was sold on social media and in mainstream media in general, because the church is the one who deemed it the Beyonce Mass. So of course people thought they are coming to worship Beyonce. That's just what you're going to get out of that when it's billed like that. But the real life matter is what they did, and the reverend who was over it, who's kind of the idea behind is Reverend Yolanda Norton of San Francisco Theological Seminary. But her whole idea was that Beyonce is made in the image of God. Beyonce is a woman of God. She said that, black women particularly, women and black women in particular are often marginalized. So she's trying to think of a way to have a service. This is actually a series, but to have a service or a series of services that can highlight that and talk about that. So why not use Beyonce? And my thing is, so people say it's blasphemous. It's, this got nothing to do with God, whoop-de-whoop. But you have to make God relevant to today. You can't just look back and say, hey, we got these books from how many ever 2,000 years ago or whatever, and this
change
like
it
people,
with the times.
People lose interest in that, so you have to make it relevant. I'm not saying you change the message, but I'm saying you make it relevant to today. So if you can tie in the Bible to Beyonce, and what they did was really kind of look at Beyonce's evolution from Destiny's Child on, and how she grew and changed, and relate.
Was she born in the manger? Was she born in the manger? Did the three wise men come and give her trinkets and things, gifts? Did they see her under the star? I mean, it's blasphemy when you get down to it. I mean, this dude said that he birthed the idea from taking a class called Beyonce and the Hebrew Bible. Man, come on,
right?
Like, we talking more. You gonna talk more about Jesus now? I mean, Beyonce. Then we talk about Jesus. That
was that preacher. That was her. That's a class that she teaches at the seminary, but not Beyonce and the Hebrew Bible. It's not blasphemous. The thing is that pop culture has always been in church. Like, even when you get preachers coming up there and they'll talk about, the music they used to listen to when they were younger, or they might, pop culture has always been a part of church. It's just that church is just full of, like, people who are used to tradition. Like, we used to the way that we do it. The songs that a lot of people sing in church now, like especially black churches, we all sing the same hymns and this and that and the other. 100 years ago, 50, 60 years ago, those songs were like, oh, that's too much for church. Like, you can't, that song is inspired by blues. We can't have that. Even though they're talking about Jesus, that's with some blues music. That's for the devil. Like, nah, you have to adapt. And the biggest thing is, when you look at Jesus, I'm gonna put on my religious hat. I'm gonna fake like I'm a minister like Ryan here, even though I'm not. But when you look back at the life of Jesus, like, Jesus went out and dealt with the sinners. Like, Jesus included everybody. Criminals, you look at thief on the cross, the people that were unclean, the people that were outcast, the tax collectors, lepers. Jesus was going to these people. Yeah, all of that. Jesus was going to these people, but now it's like we have this idea of where the church just has to be holy, and all that it has to be separate from the world. If you want to pull
those
people
two things are not the same, though.
What do you mean?
Those two things are not the same. Like, you're by you saying that, we should deal with the sinners. We do, as a church as a whole, or let's say maybe in general we do. But comparing that to having a Beyonce church service, that's two different things. That's apples and oranges to me. I don't think those are on the same level.
Man, they're going to pay their tithes and get them some drunken love.
Hey, the one thing I will say that I thought was a little over the line, because they perform Beyonce songs, they perform Survivor, they perform Flaws and All, they perform something else. And I thought the songs they performed were fine. The one thing I thought was a little bit sketchy is I read on Twitter that somebody, they said when they walked in, they were playing Freakum Dress. And I was like, they weren't performing it, but they were playing it in the background. And I was like, I don't know about Freakum Dress. But then even with that, I was like, okay, I like Beyonce, but I don't rock with her super hard like that. So I don't listen to all her music. So I'm like, I never heard Freakum Dress. So I went back, I looked at the lyrics, and I was like, it's really not even that explicit. Like, it's not explicit at all. It's just really talking about her. If your man is not paying you no attention, go put on your Freakum Dress, basically, to get his attention. I'm like, that's really not even explicit. So I like it, man. I think you got to think out of the box. If you
and
a
please
church,
wear the
if you're
freakum dress
trying
to
to
the
reach
church.
new people, you got to think out of the box. So I'm all about the Beyonce Mass.
I'm all about the freakum dress. Please wear the freakum dress. I'll follow you to church. I'll listen. I might actually listen to it. I might stay awake for a little while and listen to what's going on there. Yeah.
All I know is since apparently this is gonna get butts in the seats, maybe next week when I preach, I'm gonna come into Partition. I always thought that was a cool beat, so I'm just gonna come into Partition, so y'all know. That's what I'm gonna come into.
Drive around at the Partition, please.
Yep, that's how I'm coming in.
You coming in with lemonade?
That's how I'm coming in. I'm coming in with Partition playing. And
and that's gonna be the most lit sermon you give ever.
Lame.
Right there.
With a glass of lemonade as he walk up to the podium.
I'm gonna have fire sparking from my feet as I walk up there. I'm sure. And I'm not one of the people that thinks that certain kinds of music, like, don't have rap music in the church. If you're talking about God, you're talking about Jesus, do it. That's fine. But I just think we've come to a point where we think that the church needs to conform to the world. No, the world needs to conform to the church. We forgot that a long time ago.
Well, I don't think
and
the
that's
church
why things is getting so bad as they get.
I don't think the church needs to conform to the world, but I think you have to make it relevant. You have to make that message relevant.
Change with the times.
But the message is Jesus. It's still relevant. It always will be, because we're still human and we can still have that example. But
you got to be able to see again. Let me find this quote that I had. I want to quote her exactly, and then we can move on. So this was Reverend Norton. She said, "Our goal."
All we got left is a funny topic. So we
yeah, it's good. It says, "Our goal is to have a worship experience that honors the fact that we're all created in the image of God." She suggested to critics, "You might want to remind them that God is in all the world and that Beyonce is made in God's image. The church has not treated women of color fairly, and it's time to face this truth." The biggest part that I like is that says that Beyonce is made in God's image. So if Beyonce is a child of God, why do we have so much kickback when we talk about Beyonce in the church? We're not worshiping her. We're just using her story to let people relate to God. Like if that's the real deal, then I don't have a problem with it. If they just came in and said, let's have a Beyonce concert, yeah, I'm not feeling that. But if they're using Beyonce's story, Beyonce's music to draw people closer to God, what's the problem?
How is it drawing people closer to God though?
Because again, the whole thing of this, there was a sermon involved. This wasn't just Beyonce.
I feel like what they just said is one of those situations where, yes, the person is telling you the right thing of what they meant, but what they did has nothing to do with what they're saying.
I feel like the reason was to get butts in the seat, and then once we get the butts in the seat, it's your turn to shoot your shot.
Exactly. Hey, we got to. This building fund needs to get paid off.
Right. Since you're here, you're gonna hear about the word of the Lord, and then you just take over from there.
Yeah, you see this big long crack in the ceiling we've been trying to get fixed for the last 25 years with this building fund? Yeah, we're going to pay this thing off right now with the Beyonce.
Hey, we'll see how this
lemonade?
goes.
You better drop some coins.
That's right.
We'll see how this goes, and we'll see if that really changed anybody's life. Probably not. I'm sure it's the same. I mean, Beyonce songs done. Beyonce songs did whatever positive that they did. Did that bring anybody to Christ? Probably not.
They might have saved one life. It might have been one person there that showed up strictly for the Beyonce deal and end up.
Oh no, they came there for Jesus. It just happened to be Beyonce night.
Okay, well,
that's the person that got saved.
Well, didn't you say?
And I'm not, like I said, I'm not against Beyonce. I listen to Beyonce. I don't think I'm gonna burn up when I'm listening to it when I'm not at church. It's fine. You can listen to it. You don't have to be a secret either. Sure. But certain things is just we don't need to conform to. You don't have to have that in the church.
Just talking about Beyonce, we probably got a couple extra listeners.
Ryan, what you need to be doing is,
or we gonna lose listeners because the Bay Hive is strong.
Ryan, what you need to be doing is thinking how you can like have a Rihanna night. That's what you need to be thinking about at the church, and figure out how you can weave that in and counteract some of this and get some more energy going. Night.
Paul, how exactly are we friends, man? How are we friends, man? It's been like 20-something years, man. How are we on such different trajectories in life?
Because Paul is like, he's like your evil conscience. Like all the things you want to like or you want to say, but your conscience won't let you. Paul does that.
That's 100%. That's exactly what it is. Ryan's been a 60-year-old black man since the day I've met him, and I've been a pervert ever since the day he's met me. So we get along because we both respect each other's game. He respects my pervert game. I respect his old religious man game. And so we've just moved like that. Always been opposites and always like pushing each other's buttons. Just like Pop and Kawhi. Yeah, just same dynamic, baby. That's how it goes, man.
All right. Well, hopefully that church. I hope it works out for them, man. Hopefully they found a way to actually point it to Jesus, so they can really make a difference in the world. Shout out to Beyonce for making a difference in her, the way she makes a difference, because she does empower people. I like her music. But
just not in your church.
No, it's not even like that. It's just not as a worship service. We're not going to name anything Beyonce worship service because it's not. But anyway, all right. So moving on.
Last story.
This is back to you, alt-right Poppy.
All right.
Well, I guess you're not alt-right.
Cousin, man. Your cousin.
I'm militant.
What's your liberal name? You need a liberal name.
Paul X. Paul Muhammad X. That's my name.
Paula Abdullah
Rahman X.
So
right.
the Brown delegation, a dude who looked just like Dick Dastardly from the Wacky Racers, if y'all watched that cartoon back in the day, was tased by cops on a flight.
Yeah. Hold on, let me set this up. I'm just gonna start with a question. Okay, so I'm just gonna pick on G for a second. G. So I'm gonna give you a scenario. You tell me how you would react to this scenario. Okay. So now I don't know if you've seen the video or the news article, but just picture a dude, maybe 5'8", maybe 140, soaking wet, white guy with a flannel shirt on. He's got a nose ring, like a hook nose ring in his nose, and he's got like a super long, literally handlebar mustache with the little ends tipped perfectly back toward like making the little circle with the. So he's got the handle like a true handlebar mustache, and no chin whatsoever. So just
no chin.
So G, I just want you to picture this dude sitting there, right? And so you're on a flight from Miami going, I believe, to Chicago with your wife, lady friend, whatever you want to be. And so you're sitting there, wife, right. So you're sitting there flying,
right.
getting ready to take off, and this dude's sitting in the seat beside you. So you're all three of y'all in the same aisle, and this dude starts trying, probably just making some small talk, blah blah blah, and then he starts trying to hit on your wife, and then at some point, I guess he tries to put his hand, in a sexually suggestive way on your wife. Now, just pause. I just want to know what the Black delegation's reaction to this would be.
That get You know what my reaction would be.
I know. That's why I'm trying to get it out of you.
A couple right hands. It'd be about 4-5 rights before a left come.
Exactly.
So that lets you know I'm right-handed.
Exactly. So now, are there going to be any words before?
I'm not saying nothing. I'm just right to the throat.
Right. Okay. And so great. And so now from the remaining members of Black delegation, is there any disagreement on how this approach is? This is not how you guys would play it. What would you guys do? Anything different?
Yeah, there might be some words. There might be a few choice words in there, but no, basically,
what is there to say?
Everything is the same. Oh, those are things that I cannot say on this family-friendly podcast.
Okay, so in this situation, what really happened? This passenger, and he was a member of the Brown delegation. His name's Jacob Garcia, 20 years old. Tried to grope the dude's girlfriend. Allegedly, the girlfriend was black, and the boyfriend, who was on the plane with them was black as well. So tried to grope the girl, didn't go out as well as he wanted to. And so I guess they had some words back and forth, but no fists were thrown. I want to point that out. No fists were thrown in this. And then eventually the stewardess tried to move them. There was more words being said, but again, no fighting. Just more words being said.
That's why it should have been some fighting, so it wouldn't be no more words.
Exactly. And
I wouldn't have wasted my time with the words, because once the words would have came, somebody might have got in between us. No, some fists flying, and then you're gonna hear some words.
Exactly. I'm with you 100% on this. So just words, nothing's going on. So they move them a few rows, and I guess that is not enough. So then the stewardess or somebody decides to call the police. The police eventually come onto the flight, and the police, judging from the video, it looks to be 3 very large black men that come onto the plane. Look like basically like could be Ryan's brothers. Come onto the plane. They've all got guns, and then they try to reason with Mr. Garcia. And if you've seen the video, it's very funny. But
very funny.
The dude is literally he's 5'8", 140 pounds, soaking wet. He can't be more than that. But
his mustache was soaking wet.
But this dude is
very greasy.
Tiny. But we can agree each cop was over 6 foot, well over 200 pounds. Yes, can we all agree on that?
Yes.
It took 3 of these dudes to get him up out of there, and it took forever.
They was being very polite.
They were being
very polite,
and this is where I it's been a rough week for the black delegation. But I'm sorry, this story I got to go a little harder on the black delegation, because first of all, the first couple, the boyfriend has got to mash this dude out. This dude is tiny. You got to mash this dude out immediately. You have the brown delegation's permission to mash this dude out, and you didn't do it, and that's what's wrong. You could have done it, but you didn't do it. And then these cops come up here, all again 3 big black cops. Little tiny dude with a crappy mustache. They had every opportunity to beat the hell out of this dude, and they didn't do it. So they wrestled this dude for minutes, and he's just fighting with them. They're trying to get him down. Finally, they pull out the taser. Man, they tased this man like 8, 9, 10 times.
The force was strong. The force was strong in that brother, because he did not go down. He didn't even feel it.
And so again, go ahead.
I'm thinking he was on something, because
I don't say you mean the cocaine was strong or the heroin was strong.
Cocaine.
I probably so, but still, again, black couple did not do enough to take care of the situation on the front end. Then the black cops come here. And again, the brown delegation giving you full permission to whoop this dude's, use full force if you want to on the plane. And you took out the weak taser, and you tased him 10 times, and it didn't do anything to him. Like, you just beat his ass on camera. It does not matter. I've been fine. I'm giving you a pass if you do it, but they didn't do it.
See, I think the thing is, so you would give us a pass, and I think the other members of the Brown delegation would give us a pass. And even if you look at all the videos, basically everybody else on the plane was like, yeah, like, tase him, get him. Yeah. It's like when he was getting arrested, they were like, get him out of here. It was all, so everybody was down with the dude getting hurt. But when you think about the black man, the black woman on the plane, so he does this shot or whatever, they're thinking, okay, first of all, I'm on an airplane. And anything happens in the airport, you break a law in the airport, on the airplane,
federal. That's
magnified by hella with the federal. Secondly,
locked up in Guantanamo.
Most of us, if we've been on a plane and we seen the police called, it's usually white police. Now, white police with a black man beating him down, this guy is Hispanic, but he looks white.
He's Hispanic, but he look white.
Yeah.
So you're in
he
trouble.
Looks white.
Yes.
So you got black dudes whooping on a guy who looks white on an airplane. What's going to happen? You're going to get shot. Like 9 out of 9 times, you're going to get shot. So I think that is probably why the dude didn't whoop him, because we just see all these cases on the news, like every day, you see a black dude getting his head busted or you see him getting shot. So the man exercised some restraint so he didn't get shot.
Exactly, but this is the one opportunity to get some vengeance. Watch the video for anybody that's listening to this. Man, see this dude get tased. He just swats the little.
He didn't even stiffen up.
He didn't flint, man. Those little barbs like went into his chest, and he just kind of like he's like, get that mess out of there. And then they just kept tasing him. I mean, they basically just held the taser up against his body, and it did nothing. And the dude's put his head on his his knee on his head. Oh man, this is a weak performance by the cops. I expected to see more brutality from these guys, and been totally fine with the brutality. I don't know what you can do to him, but man, they should rough this dude up. And then, the crazy part, when he got out of the
playing Beyonce's advocate. Basically, in this situation, even as the cops, as a black cop, you know how it is, man. You know how easy it is for a situation to be misconstrued. You end up killing somebody, or they getting killed, and we don't want to do the same to our brown delegate. You know, they probably listen to the podcast. They know at least Paul.
We know they listen.
You don't want to treat you like that, man. So we gave him every opportunity to go ahead and go peacefully. You know, they asked him to get up, and he's like, "What are you arresting me for?" What he went full white, man. Right. I don't know what percentage he's Hispanic, but he went full white.
Story. Have you seen that mustache?
Yes.
Did you see that mustache? That mustache is full white. No,
once he started talking that stuff to my wife, I would have, I'm instantly punching him, but I'm also punching him for that mustache.
Yeah.
You can't let a dude with the mustache like that touch your wife, man.
Right, that's a porn violation. Stash. That's a porn stash, and you talking crazy to my wife.
That's Raleigh fingers right there. That's Raleigh fingers, man. But look when he got off the plane, so they finally got him off the plane, and they tried to put him like on a kind of like a golf cart. They had handcuffs on by then, but he still was struggling. He was basically like kind of going limp. They threw him onto the golf cart. But then, I saw another. I don't think it was in this particular article, but another article. They said he tried to reach for the dude's gun, one of the dude's guns, right then, and he wasn't able to get to it or whatever like that. But there was another little struggle. So I mean, this dude had to be on something, man. Hey, the brown delegation were totally fine. I'm not saying you had to, kill him, but if you wanted to maim him with the pistol, hey, you definitely went in your right. Because this dude was struggling that whole way through that whole flight, and man, this guy. Get him out of here. Brown delegation, we're releasing you. We're cutting him. Hey. You guys cut Kanye, we're cutting this dude. He's out. Out.
Man, whoever sold him whatever he was on, they got a Lifetime commercial. All they got to do is roll out this commercial. It's like, yo, we got this, what's his name? Joseph Garcia?
Jacob Garcia.
Jacob. Yo, we got that Jacob Garcia player, and they gonna sell out in a minute because that boy got tased. He told the cop he got tased. He was like, "You're just a baby. You're just like a baby." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Hey, for a second there, when he tased him and the guy still was going, for a second there, it looked like he was ready to wrap them barbs around his neck.
Right.
Yeah. And he should have.
All right, so I think we had a pretty good episode. Different format, everybody bringing their own story.
I agree with that.
Listen back to it and see how it goes. So I guess G will probably do a sports topic every week. you gotta expand your horizons though, G.
Man,
give us something else.
It won't be sports every week, man.
Because I gotta fight my urges myself to talk about basketball. Because really, I should have a basketball podcast. I could probably do that. But let's see. Ishmael, are you ready to tell us? Are you ready to tell us where they can find us?
I am ready.
All
right. You can follow us, the Black Delegates. You can follow our podcast on Twitter. We are at Black Delegates. There's an underscore between Black and Delegates. If you want to follow Ryan, you can follow him at The Black Ryan. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Ish Creates. For the Facebook, people who are still on the Facebook after the Cambridge Analytical scandal, you can find us at facebook.com/Black Delegates Pod or at Black Delegates Pod. Ryan, if people want to listen to the podcast, we know they're listening right now, but if they want to listen elsewhere, tell us where they can find us.
You can find us, let's see, Podbean. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, because they don't call it iTunes anymore. You can find us on Stitcher. And I'm working on this Google Play. I need to look back and see what the requirements are. But I tried it initially, and it was something we couldn't do, I think just because we didn't have a podcast. But we'll have that up and running. Shout out to OG3, again, a loyal listener. Shout out to my wife who listens to every episode.
Hey, and if you want
Shout out to my barber. He said he listened to last week's episode. Shout out to him.
And if you want to find G, good luck.
find G at your local Missouri AAU basketball game. You probably can locate him eventually.
They're taking bets on who's going to get their ass in the parking lot.
Okay. So, Ishmael, do you have a black business or black podcast or black person you want to shout out this week?
I do, and this isn't necessarily like a black-owned podcast, but it is about black events, and I've talked to each of you guys about it. I don't think I've said it on the show. If I did, then I'm going to say it again. So, the podcast I'm talking about now is called We Live Here. This is actually something through St. Louis Public Radio. We are mostly from St. Louis. Paul isn't. The rest of us are from St. Louis, and so this is a local podcast. They talk about, I think the little catchphrase is something like, for people who are anywhere on the woke spectrum. So there's actually a white host and a black host, but they talk about black issues and how it affects, the black community and minority community. So it's a very good podcast. And I can't say we don't know them, because I do know my sister is like an associate producer on the podcast. But when she got the job, I went back and I listened to the old episodes, because I was like, well, let me see, she got this job. Let me go see what this podcast is about. And the first episode I listened to, I was like, man, this is dope. So even if I had no relation, I would still listen to it. It's one of my favorite podcasts. So We Live Here. Again, that's St. Louis Public Radio. Check it out. It's a dope podcast. They just started a new season, and the first episode, which is actually a part 1, was actually really good. So that's my podcast.
I did check out that Jesus episode that you told me to peep.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah, they're doing some good stuff, so shout out to them over there.
I need to listen back to it. I think I got them listed in my religion podcast, but it's not a religion. I need to put them probably in the black people section.
Yeah, so We Live Here. We do know them, but we don't owe them. And again, we're just trying to give big ups to black-owned businesses, to black-owned podcasts, or in this case, podcasts that are about the black experience or the black perspective on things. So, big ups to them again.
Exactly. All right. Anything else before we go, fellas?
Nope, I think that's it. I think we done took up enough people's time.
All right, so I got a lot of editing to do. So y'all get me y'all's audio as quick as possible, because I'm gonna apparently be spending all of Monday night bleeping out all of Paul's cuss words.
Yay.
So tell a friend to tell a friend. Please spread the word. Just tell people, hey, if you don't know what a podcast is, check it out. Send them the feed in their email. Whatever you got to do. I have put on quite a few people that didn't even know what a podcast is, and they listen to the podcast, so that's cool. But I would like to kind of get ourselves out there a little bit, because everybody I know that listens to it says that it's good and listens to multiple episodes. So I think we're doing a good job here, but I really want to get it out there where we can increase our viewer or listenership, and then see what we can do with it.
Play some Beyonce.
Yeah. Apparently we do that.
Beyonce in the title
Change
of
the
this
intro.
Have a
Change the
Beyonce
intro.
Mass.
Hey, the Beyonce podcast.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see y'all next week. Appreciate you listening. Peace.
Deuces.
Nothing, Paul? You're not going to cuss again?